Hey, it's Benjamyn here. If you're into health, healing, and personal growth, but your body still feels tight, even after everything you've tried, your mind won't switch off at night, there's a low level of anxiety in your system. And you keep falling back into the same old patterns again. Overthinking, shutting down, starting, and stopping again. This is for you. But here's the frustrating part. You're not someone who doesn't care. You care about your body. You've done the work, but nothing really shifts. And at some point you start wondering, why does my body still feel like this? It's not an effort problem, it's a safety problem. Let me explain. No one ever taught you how to feel safe in your body. So it stays tense, guarded, and always slightly on. And no matter what you try, you're still working on your body instead of actually feeling at home in it. And deep down, you know that that's not what you really want. You don't want to keep doing the work forever. You just want to feel at ease in your body. So what I'm going to show you today is a step-by-step path to move from a tight body that can't fully relax to feeling safe, strong, and at home in yourself again. Now screw the script, let's get into it. Over the last 20 years working as a somatic and physical therapist, I've seen this pattern again and again. We move through three key phases when we come back home to the body. Survival, where the body is braced and protecting. Stability, where your body can calm down, but the tension can keep coming back. And embodiment, where your body feels safe, relaxed, and free, and you don't have to keep thinking about it. And here's where most people get stuck. They try to feel better. They try to relax, fix what's there. Get rid of the tension, get rid of the emotion. But that effort is often the very thing keeping the body stuck in survival. Because the problem isn't your body, it's not your emotions either. It's your relationship with them. The pressure to change what you feel, the judgment of what's there, the constant trying to cope and get it right. That's what keeps the body braced. So instead of trying to fix the body, we change the way you relate to it. And that's what allows the body to actually feel safe, let go, and finally feel free again. So let me walk you through the home body plan. The fastest way I know how to take someone from a state of tension and disconnection to a state of safety, connection, aliveness, and freedom in their body. And depending on where you're at and how far you want to grow, it's a journey that takes about 12 months. So if you're looking for quick fixes and all of that sort of thing, then probably this won't align for you, and I'd recommend to click away before we even start. But if that does align, let's get going. So the goal is to develop what I call the home body. What I mean by this is that your home is your body. It's simple. Yet a lot of us live disconnected from that home. We feel insecure in that home. And so then we go through life afraid of getting hurt and injured, in a state of bracing, tension, resistance to feeling and to movement. So the way I see this is that we can have 99 problems in life, but you have one health problem, and that's the only problem you have. I experienced this when I lived in scoliosis for years, where taking a deep breath was hard, getting out of bed was hard. So I know what it feels like to not feel at home in your body. So everyone's journey looks different with this. Maybe you're experiencing a chronic condition like Rani was, where she was in daily pain due to a brain injury. And so her body was a really scary place. She didn't know what was going on. She had lots of different specialists giving her different diagnoses and all these sorts of things. It was very stressful. So we gradually rebuilt the connection with her body. The pain started to release, and at the end of her journey, her body was connected in such a way that she was able to do a charity walk for the Kokoda Trail. It was really amazing to see her do that from where she came from. Or maybe you're feeling tight, like Marcus was. He was training for a lot of his life as a personal trainer. Fitness was important to him. But as he was pushing his body more and more over the years, he was getting more and more injured, more and more tense, and his freedom of movement was becoming less and less. So we started to focus on opening up his body, creating more space and flexibility and fluidity as he moved. So then in his 40s, he started to feel better than when he was in his 20s. Or maybe you're later in life, like Sharon. When she started, she was experiencing a lot of instability. She was losing her balance, and she was afraid that she might fall and break her hip, and because she had a lot of close calls with that. And so what we did is we re-established her foundations, developed stability in her lower body, connected her with the ground again. So there was much less risk if she did fall, because her whole body didn't just collapse all at once. She could soften it down into the ground. It became more fluid in the way that she moved. And then she gained a lot more balance. And then she started to get back into the things that she loved, which was skiing. So just have a think as to what does it mean to me to feel at home in my body. There's a couple of signposts along the way that we can experience, which is more energy, so more vibrancy to live life, less crashes, more capacity, more space, more bandwidth, less being triggered, pushing you back into that survival zone, and more freedom. Freedom to move, freedom to choose, freedom to go for that walk or go for that hike or climb that tree or play on that playground. I'm speaking for myself, but the freedom to move through life as you choose. Oops, quick interruption. If you've seen enough already and you want to know what it looks like to work together, then send me the message line. There'll be a link somewhere around this video to have a chat on WhatsApp. So send me the message line. I'll send you all the details of what it looks like to work together. See you soon. So if more energy, capacity, and freedom is the goal, then this is a conversation worth having. Along this journey, there tends to be three problems that get in the way. The first is a nervous system problem, particularly where we experience overwhelming emotions. So over time, we can build up a lot of emotional energy in the body. If those emotions aren't processed, if they've been suppressed in different ways, they don't have a pathway to move. It builds up. It feels like chaos inside the body. This is what trauma is. Blocked energy in the body. Emotion is energy in motion. So imagine when those emotions get stuck. It becomes overwhelming. The next problem is it's a postural problem where our body feels out of balance. So we may feel tense in different places or disconnected in different places, and it's pulling our structure out of balance. This is what I went through with scoliosis. So that tension is like driving a car with the handbrake on. There's a lot of resistance to move. The third problem is a movement problem where those tension patterns build up and it restricts the way we move. Maybe there's movements in daily life, like as simple as putting your socks on and you start to feel restricted, or getting down and playing with your kids or your pets, or doing the things that you love. Often when movement's restricted, even basic things like exercise can feel dangerous and challenging, and this is where your capacity can decrease more and more. So if these are the problems that we face, what are the solutions? There's three key milestones that we track along the way to measure success with this journey. The first is about reconnection. We reconnect with the body. And the milestone that we can experience here is regulation every day. The nervous system gets more and more space. We can regulate easier and easier. Then, next milestone is rebalancing. The posture starts to move back into balance. There's less and less tension pulling us out of balance. We experience more and more stability every week. The third milestone is our movement. We start to reawaken the body. The milestone for that is that we experience more freedom for life. So we can start to do more of the things that we would like, move more freely with less fear of injury. So if we're experiencing regulation every day, we're building stability in the body every week, and more experiencing freedom for life, developing the home body becomes more and more simple. So next, I'd like to take you into how to actually do it. So if we go 1 + 2 + 3, that's the recipe for how we develop regulation every day. And as we go through this, what I'd like you to do is we'll do a bit of a scan for your body, and we'll gauge it like a traffic light. So green is an area of strength. You're good there. Yellow is I'm okay, could use some work. And red is, this is a problem area that I really need to focus on. And if we can do that, then we can start to get practical steps on the journey. So if overwhelming emotions is the problem and regulation every day is the milestone, the first step that we take is about restoring inner safety. Most people get stuck before they even get into this place because something gets overwhelming in the body, and then we go into the head. We try to outthink it, outanalyze it. We could even do therapy, but all the insight and analysis in the world doesn't touch what's happening in the body. We often feel more unsafe because we build up a story about the feeling of that experience. But underneath it is a body that's struggling. It's trying to protect itself. The other side, we can try to work with the body through exercise, but often we disconnect from the feeling of the body. So what we need to do is work somatically. We bring the mind and the body together so that then you can start to experience more and more safety feeling the body. So just reflect on, do I feel safe in my body? For a lot of people, this is a big challenge point. They feel quite disconnected from their body. There's a lot of overwhelm held in the body, and even starting to connect with it can feel really scary. So where are you at? Is it a green? I feel really good here. Is it a yellow? I feel okay. Or is it a red? I'm quite challenged in this place. Once we restore inner safety, the next step is to let your body release. But a lot of the time we obstruct this process. We try to force the body to release. We try to control it. But the body can't really release like that, because if it's protecting itself through bracing or anxiety, there's a really intelligent purpose for this happening. And so then if we just try to take it out, then it's very vulnerable, and then quickly the body reverts back into that protection again. So what we need to do instead is neuro-somatic processing practices to allow the body to release. You develop inner permission so that that can be processed, felt, and naturally released. Animals naturally do this. So see where you're at with this. Do you try to control that release? Does it feel scary when things come up in your body? Do you try to intervene through breathing or to calm it down or to stretch it away? If that sort of thing's happening, you may be in the yellow or the red zone with this. A lot of people are in this yellow place. So once we restore inner safety, you let your body release. The next step is about expressing freely. A lot of the time we don't even realize we've been suppressing ourselves for many years. Suppressing ourselves when it comes to being seen. We're afraid of being judged. Suppressing our emotions. Holding on to shame, guilt, grief. Not allowing it to move. So it builds up inside, keeps us small, restricts us from taking that move, taking that risk, from living fully alive, expressing yourself in the world as you are. So we do embodiment practices to allow yourself to fully come alive. That's when you start to release that energy and move more freely through your world as yourself. So reflect on that as to where you're at. Where do you get to when it comes to being seen or being judged, or what happens when you might fear rejection? Do you allow yourself to express? For a lot of people, this is a big challenge. They might be in the red or the yellow zone with this. When this starts to come together, you no longer feel overwhelmed by your emotions, and you're regulating each and every day. Like Mark. When we started working together, he was pretty overwhelmed. He was trying to grow his business, but he kept getting stuck in pushing and crashing. Underneath, we discovered that there was shame held in his body, fear of not being enough, which he couldn't push past. Each time he tried to grow, he kept getting pulled back into that shame. So what we did was, as he started to process that, he realized that he can feel safe in who he was. He could start to express himself in his business, and then his business started to reflect this. It started to grow and scale, and eventually he sold it for over $3 million. So once we've reconnected, we're well on our way back home to the body. The next challenge that we can face is tension, pulling the body out of balance, causing all sorts of postural issues. So what we do to address this is first, we start to rehydrate the fascia. That's the tissue inside your body that supports your movement. And when it gets stuck together, no amount of stretching can undo it, because often we're trying to stretch tissue that's glued together. What we need to do is to start to get it sliding and gliding and your body moving with more ease again. So just reflect for yourself as to when you're doing daily movements, are there areas that feel rigid? Do you go to lift something overhead and your shoulders feel blocked, or you bend down and your hips feel blocked, or you twist in different ways and your spine feels blocked? So just score yourself, green, yellow, or red. For a lot of people, we're really stuck in this place. So I'll put it as red. So once we start to rehydrate the fascia, then the next step is we expand the breath capacity. So just feel in your body now, as you breathe, how does it feel to take a breath? A lot of the time our breath's restricted, which then we're not taking in as much life force all the time throughout the day. And then we go to breathe deeply. Someone says, take a deep breath, but then inside it's still tense. So what we want to do is gradually create more space for you to breathe. We start to open up all the tissue around your ribs, around your diaphragm, so that you can breathe more deeply and more easily. So where are you at with that? Notice your breath. Is it green? Is it yellow or red? So now, when the breath has more capacity to move, the next thing that we do is to rebuild stability. So we may have different habits pulling the posture out of balance. Maybe you had an injury at different points in time and you didn't rehab it fully. So then your body learns to compensate in different ways. And then those patterns get stuck in your body. So certain areas feel really tight and tense, and other areas might feel a bit collapsed, and the structure of the body is compromised. So what we want to do is rebalance the stability joint by joint from your feet all the way up to your head. So then your body has a solid structure to relax into. So see where you're at with that. How does your posture feel when you're sitting throughout the day? Or if you're standing, does it feel like it naturally relaxes into balance, or does it feel like it's being pulled out of balance? So where are you at with that? Green, yellow, or red? So once we've rehydrated the fascia, expanded breath capacity, and rebuilt stability in the body, we've no longer got a tight body. This reminds me of Ranjit. He's a urologist working as a doctor day by day, and yet his body's getting pretty tense and tight in the process. And he wanted to run a marathon with his son. It was a bit of a life goal. As he was training for it, he kept getting little niggles and injured over and over. And he was like, well, I'm a doctor. I should be able to address this, but I feel disconnected from my body. I've spent so much time learning the craft of being a doctor that I haven't felt it for myself. So we started to unwind his body, release the tension in the fascia, and start to rebuild stability around each of his joints and deepen his breath capacity. So then as he's doing the marathon, every step is much more smooth and efficient. There's less load and tax on his body. So he starts to run smoother and smoother. He was then starting to train without injury, and then he got through the marathon, and now he likes to compete in half marathons all the time. So these sorts of things can happen when we rebalance the body. So at this point, we're feeling connected with the body. We're feeling at ease in the body. It's no longer tense and being pulled out of balance. The last step is taking it to the next level. This is where we start to overcome the restrictions of movement and develop freedom in the body for anything that you want to do in life. So the first step is we restore natural movement. When we were born, we learned how to move this way. We crawled, we climbed, we rolled, in different ways. The body was resilient, but we get disconnected from movements. Maybe we go to the gym and we do linear, isolated exercises. While there's nothing wrong with this, it teaches the body to become strong in a rigid way. What we want to do is strengthen it so it can move more fluidly and freely like the human body's designed to move. How do you feel when it comes to even thinking about crawling around or climbing that tree? It's something that a lot of adults lose. One of my goals is to enliven that childlike spirit back into our bodies as adults so we can age more gracefully. So where are you at with that, with those natural movement patterns? Do you feel free when it comes to crawling around or rolling on the ground? Where are you at? Green, yellow, or red? A lot of people get really stuck here, so I'm going to put that as red. So once we've restored natural movement, the next step is about strengthening our end ranges. Now, a lot of people get stuck with their flexibility because they go about it completely the wrong way. They try to relax into the flexibility. What it creates is you end up, when you're in your most vulnerable range of movement, you're like a bowl of spaghetti. The body's floppy and flaccid, and that makes it really vulnerable to injury. So what we want to do is actually strengthen it at end ranges. This is where you start to get the capacity for your body to stretch further and be stronger. A lot of people are missing this quality. So if you've ever dreamed of doing things like back bends or the splits, then this is what makes it possible. So where are you at with that? Do you feel strong and flexible as you stretch out? Do you feel open through your hips or through your spine? Could you just bend backwards without, or like bend forward or go into a split if you wanted to? These are high levels of physical capability, but what it means is that as we then move through everyday life, the body is no longer like wearing a tight suit. We feel a lot more space in the body. So where are you at with that? Green, yellow, or red? The last step is about deepening stillness. A lot of people completely neglect this. This is where practices like Qigong and deeper meditation practices are really powerful. This is where we build energy. Just feel it in your body now. As you start to become still, what do you notice? For a lot of people, there can be restlessness. There's stagnation inside the body. So when we deepen stillness, we come deeper and deeper inside the body. The energy builds and we start to build into the higher functions of the body. This is where you really discover your true nature, when we clear away all the noise. Your energy starts to move through your meridian system. You start to feel a lot more vibrant. So movement and stillness are in this relationship together, and we want to find the stillness in movement and the movement in stillness. So where are you at with that? When you go into stillness, do you feel really restless? Do you perhaps feel a little bit of frustration, impatience, challenge, or do you feel at peace? So just score yourself with where you're at there. So when we restore natural movement, strengthen our end ranges, and deepen stillness, we no longer feel restricted in our movement. You start to feel more and more free in your body, in your life. So this is like Dina. She was a former women's NBA player, but then when she retired at the end of her career, her body was stuck in a lot of the patterns that she was using for basketball. It was strong in some places, but really tight in other places. This is common with many sports people. So we reconnected back with her ability to move naturally. And we started to open up her ranges of movement. But then the thing that was really missing for her was that she was getting stuck in a lot of practices. She was trying yoga and Pilates, but what she found was that those practices were getting put over the top of herself. It's like, I have to try to fit into the yoga mold or the Pilates mold or insert whatever practice mold. But there's nothing wrong with this. It can become a real limit because you can only go as far as those forms allow you to. But what she found is when she started to go deeper into stillness, we did practices like standing meditation, and she started to really connect with her essence. And that's really what all of the practice is about. It's not about this method. It's actually about you coming back home to your unique body, discovering that unique essence underneath, clearing away all the noise, then putting your best foot forward in life. You've now got a solid plan to feel more at home in your body. So as we've gone through this, you've identified some key constraints. Maybe there's some reds, maybe there's some yellows, maybe there's some greens. If we could focus on these things over the next 30 to 60 to 90 days, what areas would make the biggest difference for you and your body? So just reflect on that. So no matter where you're at on this journey, whether you're red or yellow or green, behind each of these areas are proven practices, programs, and support each step of the way to support you to come back home to your body, to feel more alive and free as you move through life. So if you want to know what it looks like to work together, then send me a secret word, LIME. Around this video, you'll see a link to send me a WhatsApp message. So send me the keyword LIME, so I just know that you've seen this video, and I'll send you all the details of what it looks like to work together. So thanks for being here with me. Hope to see you soon.